Hello, everybody. My name is Justine Ryan, and I am honored to welcome you all to the Bentonville Film Festival and to this amazing film called Every Day in Kaimuki. This is the Q&A discussion with the director, writer, and producer, Akila Tingun. And we're so happy to have them here and at the ninth annual Bentonville Film Festival. And before we get into the Q&A, I would like to do a land acknowledgement. On behalf of the Bentonville Film Festival, I would like to take the time to acknowledge the indigenous people that were forced to leave their ancestral lands, including the Osage, Caddo, the Quapaw nations with ties to the Northwest Arkansas area. We further recognize that a portion of the Trail of Tears runs through this area and that the Cherokee, Choctaw, Muskogee, Chickasaw, and Seminole nations passed through what is now known as Arkansas during their forced removal. We acknowledge all the indigenous storytellers and residents in our community and region, and we thank you. Now, I have the honor and privilege to welcome you all to this amazing film, Every Day in Kaimuki. Again, we are here with the producer, the writer, and the director, Akila. And I'm so glad you're here for this amazing opportunity. Um, so, first, I want to ask, how was it doing this film? Because we're still in the pandemic, out of the pandemic, and we know everywhere around the world, the pandemic had a different effect on everybody.
Yep.
And that's kind of the first thing you see with the film is that the masks were regularly used. And so, was that conscious to make the pandemic part of the movie, or was it something that you said, hey, we're in a pandemic, let's wear a mask?
Um, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me at this incredible festival. And yeah, it's a good question. I think it was a little bit of both. Um, when I found out that my friend Naz was going to make this move from Hawaii to New York, it was the end of 2020 and we were still in the heart of things. So, but also, yeah, we wanted to show the reality in the film because, and also, I mean, we didn't want the film to be about the pandemic, but it is happening in the background. And it does frame a lot of these characters' decisions. And, I think for many of us, it's been a really introspective and reflective time. And this is what somebody, this is a big life decision that somebody made during this moment. So because of that, the pandemic had to be a part of it in that way. But again, hopefully, it wasn't the focal point, but that definitely was happening. So we just wanted to lean into that.
No, I thought that was very interesting because sometimes filmmakers want to ignore it, so they do it without it. And I thought it was very interesting because a lot of films don't acknowledge that we're in a pandemic, kind of to set a fantasy outside of real world. And I thought it was very interesting because it was prevalent in the sense of you noticed it because we all notice when we're wearing masks, but it wasn't at the forefront. But you did see how it slightly altered some of the decisions people made. And I loved to see that on camera because, again, some filmmakers aren't making the decision to, oh, we're going to use masks and we understand what we're in and we're going to do that. So I really did appreciate that.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Also, I mean, this movie is sort of a hybrid doc narrative. So because it has roots in Naz's actual life and this actual moment, again, the pandemic is just a part of that. So yeah.
And when speaking of Nas, when you were writing this film, and you said that once you heard that they wanted to move to New York, was it your first thing like, oh, let me make a film about particularly their life, and was it 100% based off of everything that Nas wanted to do, or was it, well, let's change this and let's change that?
Yeah, well, initially I was like, we could just do a documentary about this experience for him. And so when I approached him and started discussing it with Naz, he was wanting to sort of throw himself into a creative project before he left, and this felt like a good opportunity to do so. But he's also like really into films, and he's a really talented writer. So that led us to feel like, okay, well, we can root a lot of this in your reality, but we can also sort of fictionalize some of it, so he can express some of the things that, you know, all of the things that led up to this monumental decision in his life that maybe weren't currently a part of what was happening, but factored into it. So yeah, we just wanted to get the best blend possible, I think, of like, well, what are the most compelling elements of each part of that? Yeah.
Oh wow. So what in the film was fictional for Nas? Because it was so interesting. You could see it slowly building and then when he spiraled. So, because I was like, wow, okay, I really love how this is like cool, this is easy. And then it just hit a peak and it just kind of rushed down out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, wow. Which is great, which is great. I think a lot of films don't take that. They're very fast, 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 slow down a little bit, fast, fast, fast. And this was very, we're gonna take you on this ride, and I want you to watch it build, like you're going up the roller coaster, and then you're gonna watch it all. And so I really appreciated that in the film. So, yeah, what was fictional? Because I was like, man, I was like, this is really taking a toll on this man.
Cool. Well, I'm, really glad you had that experience, because that's definitely what we hoped, people would feel. Um, I so at the time that we embarked on shooting this film, he didn't have a current girlfriend. But basically what happened was when I went to his house and we started writing this, and I was like, tell me everything that led up to this decision. He sort of mentioned that it traced back to a relationship that he had had maybe like a year prior, that had kind of not worked out. And so the girlfriend characters, played by Rena White, in this film, is probably the most fictionalized uh, character in the film. She's an amalgamation of me and Nas's prior relationships, and also that actor Rena is a good friend of me and Naz's, so she was able to bring a lot to the character as well. Um, but yeah, I would say that's the most. I mean, Naz is playing sort of a fictionalized version of himself, like an extreme version. He's not really, like that. Uh, there's elements, but yeah, I mean, it's really his actual friend group for the most part, and that was one of the most thrilling parts about the film to me, was that his friends were down to be in it and just be themselves. And I think they're also interesting and unique in their own ways. So that was really fun to incorporate all of that.
Oh wow, did they really have a bet going on if you leave or not?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a little more lighthearted than, I think Naz was okay with it, but yes, there was a bet.
Oh wow. No, I think one thing I really loved that I connected with the film was I've moved around a lot. And so it's hard to leave your hometown,
Yeah.
or a place that you've been, you set roots in. It's really hard to leave because it's the fear of I have to start over. And and you could see it as that was a fear for him, but the fear of staying was slightly bigger, and that's what's
Yeah.
kind of pushing him. And and I was just watching, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been there before. And so now it's the relationship with my friends. It's like, oh, where are you going now? Like it's not it's not a Oh, we know you're not gonna leave. It's like, okay, where are you moving to? Um, is it closer or further away? That's usually what it is. But I really connected with that because I thought, um, for so many people, especially when you're in your 20s, moving and you have a solid group of people, even oh gosh, his name escapes me, but the guy was coming to take over his
Oh
spot.
yeah,
Yo,
Caden. Yeah.
Caden, he was like, "You got everything here. Like you barely paid for anything." And I was like, free food would keep me somewhere. I'm not gonna, but it was even in spite of all that, he was like, "I gotta go, and I have to make sure that I'm good. So I need to go somewhere else and do this." And I really admired that because it's hard to leave, and I imagine being on an island, um, especially when it's a different community, the way that Hawaii as a whole works out versus mainland. And you could see that that is the reason um, uh, why the girlfriend wanted to stay versus Nas like leaving. Like she's like, I want this community. Why would I leave it? And he was like, I'm okay with leaving and seeing other things. So I really appreciated that. But in speaking of Hawaii, I loved how you show a different side. Um, when the movie starts, I was like, "Oh, what city are they in?" And I had no clue. Kaimuki was in Hawaii, and so I'm looking like, "Where is it?" And I like Googled, and I was like, Hawaii, and I was just like, wow, like I've never seen this. And the media shows it palm trees and beaches, and I really appreciated a realer, more raw idea of, or image of what Hawaii looks like, because it's not something I've ever seen. And so when doing that and using the dark spaces, less lighting to really show the struggle or the time of what Naz's character was going through, what inspired you to do all that and to really go the opposite way towards what the media shows Hawaii to be?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was super intentional, I think, from me and Naz, and my DP, Chapin, was like, how do we do something that's different and unexpected? Um, and even, starting the film in this nighttime city where like you have no idea, like could this could be anywhere. This could be New York. Like this could be, that we wanted people to feel like, to get back to what you're also saying before this, like it's really hard to leave your hometown. And I think especially when you live in a place like Hawaii, and Naz is, part Native Hawaiian. So there's this added layer of leaving a place that you have these like ancestral connection to. Uh but I think that all of that makes his decision more compelling and more admirable, and you really understand like how badly he feels like he needs to do this for himself. So um but yeah, we wanted to, we this film is an authentic uh version of a local's life here, and this was true to Naz's actual experience. And for Naz, as he mentions, he doesn't go to the beach, he doesn't surf, he doesn't really hike, he doesn't engage, with Hawaii in that way, but he is still Native Hawaiian. So this is an authentic Hawaiian experience, and for many of us, uh, who the cost of living here is so high, he has multiple jobs, and like if for many people that live here who work a lot, you don't get to enjoy many of the things that you typically could in Hawaii. But anyways, um, just it's a larger thing of sort of trying to push back against the way that Hawaii has been displayed in movies and TV shows, and just showcase a version of Hawaii that's true to us, but just hasn't been portrayed in the media in that way.
No, it's really appreciated. I think viewers watching this, they'll agree that it's always great to see another side of something that you never get to see.
Yeah,
And I think it also helps with the connection of, oh, like they're like me. You know, we're more similar than we think because somebody who may grow up in North Dakota will watch this and be like, oh wow, like they have street signs. Like the idea that you wouldn't think that there's like road like highways because they don't the images that they show don't show that don't let you imagine those type of things. And so even you mentioning that Nas's character does doesn't they don't surf, they don't hike, but at night when he has time, he skateboards. And I really love that aspect because that was really his meditation time. And you could tell like he was at full peace just skating down the street, and even the last skate before he left, like you could just tell like he was skating all the streets, all the roads, because he was like, this is my last time. And I really appreciated those moments because sometimes the last time you're doing things somewhere that you're going to be are is the time you're going to remember.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, yeah, like I mean, skating is Naz's surfing. Like he is surfing through the city in that way. And yeah, I mean, just to go back to what you were saying earlier, one of the things in my mind that felt like this film was worth doing was because I felt like there was a universal relatability in terms of, um, as you're saying, if even if you grew up in South Dakota or wherever, like anyone who's grown up in a small town has grappled with the idea of like, should I stay, should I go, and weighing the costs of that. Um, so this film felt like an opportunity to tell a story that was really specific to Naz and Hawaii, but also hopefully has a more universal appeal. So I'm glad it, you felt that as well.
And I am not a skateboarder. I look in envy. I wish I could. I tried and I almost broke something. So I left it to the professionals. Um,
Yeah, I skated in high school, but I think I had too many injuries. So I was like, I'm just gonna sit back and watch other people do it. But I still love the culture, and yeah, Naz is good at
very good. I was like, wow, I would have definitely fallen off by now. So please let Nines know that there's somebody jealous out here that he's really good at the skateboard. And I want to ask some questions about behind the camera. So we know that you did the directing, the producing, and the writing for this film. When it comes to creating this film and also diversity, what did you look for in your team, because you mentioned that you had an amazing team. So who are the people that helped you? How did you decide who would help you and who you wanted on your team?
Yeah. Well, we wanted the film to feel as local as possible, so we wanted as much local crew as possible. And my DP was born and raised here as well. My sister helped us, which was really great. We had a smaller crew than typical for this film, but we tried to hire as local as Hawaiian as possible. And yeah, that's just something that is important to me, and I would, I want to carry that forward in all of my productions.
Great, great. So I have another question. What's next? Is are we gonna see a film about Nas deciding, hey, I've done my time, I blew up here in New York, I'm gonna come back to Hawaii, or is it gonna be a new project?
Well, I'd like to keep the door open for a potential sequel at some point down the road. I do think it'd be a fun world to come back to. But in the short term, I'm currently trying to adapt a short film that I made called Molokai Bound into a feature film this year. And we just got a grant from Google and Array to help us do
Congratulations.
so. So yeah, that's what we're working on now.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I'll definitely look out for that.
Thanks.
Oh, no, thank you so much for your time, getting a chance to answer some questions, and talk with me. And also, uh, another question. What is something that you want people who watch this film, what is something that you want them to walk away with after seeing it?
I I just hope they have a better understanding of what it's like to live in Hawaii. And I mean, you said something interesting about how the way that Hawaii's been portrayed, you're not even really imagining like the stop signs and the streets and the similarities that I think we have with the rest of the world. And so yeah, I mean, it's important to I want people to know that we all don't as much as I love Jason Momoa, we all don't look like Jason Momoa. Like I'm Native Hawaiian, Naz is Native Hawaiian, Caden's Native Hawaiian. We're a multifaceted people, and I think we have a lot of interesting perspectives to share here. So um, yeah, I hope that people are more open to stories from the indigenous people of Hawaii.
No, that was great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that in this film, and all that are watching. We hope that you enjoyed this talk back or this Q&A, and also enjoyed the film. And we hope to see you all again, and hope to see you here at the festival again.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
I